So welcome to the shir. I'm now going to share the screen with the psukim that we're going to start with tonight. Um, so yeah, we're all here. So we're in Parshat Mishpatim, and if we start right here at chapter 22, Kaf Bet. But if you go to the previous verse, this verse here, they're talking about theft. They're talking about theft. So ki ignov ishor oseh, if you steal a sheep, right, or an ox, and you slaughter it, or you sell it, and then you're find out, you have to pay a penalty. You don't just cover the cost of the sheep or the seh of the lamb. You pay a penalty of fivefold for the cattle and four for the sheep. So that's not tonight's topic. It then moves the laws of theft and it jumps. We're going to read two psukim. In one pasuk, if I kill the thief, the Torah says I'm not liable. And in the next pasuk, it says if I kill the thief, I am liable. So that's the boundary that we're going to study tonight. Those are the cases, and we're going to try to understand when I feel threatened from the thief, what discretion do I have other than my sense of fear, sense of my anxiety, sense of threat? Okay, so now the Torah uses very unique language. So, im BaMachteret Yematzeh Haganav. So we have this word machteret, which is sort of underground. So we have to ask ourselves, why did they choose that word? Yematzeh Haganav. Yematzeh is will be found. So it doesn't say, obviously in our mind, we're talking about I'm at home and the thief comes through my basement or something. So it's just me and him. But Yematzeh is an interesting word, will be found. V'huka, from me, right? He's going to be killed by me. Huka v'met, en lo damim. Lo would be me now, the balabait. There is no blood guilt for the balabait in that case. So we have, let me read it again. Im BaMachteret, underground in some case. We'll talk. The translator here uses the word while tunneling, meaning so immediately start thinking, what is it in this situation? What is it in this situation that makes, to use the term that Marty introduced, that gives this ganav a chazaka of rodef, of a murderer, of a supreme threat to me, that I can respond by killing him and I have no liability. So that's that case. The next pasuk, it says, Im zarcha hashemesh alav. So remember up top, it said, Yematzeh Haganav v'huka v'met. V'huka, I'm saying that's from the balabait. And lo damim, that's the balabait, right? He has no liability. Now, Im zarcha hashemesh alav. Min hastam, alav here is the ganav. Im zarcha hashemesh alav. So if the sun shines upon him, damim lo, that would be the balabait now. Why? So if I then kill him, if everything is revealed and everything is out in the open, why is the threat diminished? Why is this threat? Shalem yishalem im en lo v'nimkar b'gnei vato. So let's say I didn't kill him. So it reverts to be any kind of theft. So then the thief has to make compensation for anything he damaged or took, in this case, right? The thief must make restitution. V'im lo, then the court covers it by selling him. So normally, let me ask everyone, normally for you guys to convict me of murder, what is the typical Jewish case of convicting me of murder? Normally.
You have to be warned. You have to be warned.
Yes, good, Jeffrey. Warned and to what?
Harsh witnesses.
Yeah. So it doesn't. And so now my question to you guys, pshat, as we read it, we'll go to the Mefarshim, we'll flush it out. Im BaMachteret Yematzeh Haganav. Is this with or without witnesses?
Ah, no witness is required.
Yeah, okay, good. Sounds probably no witnesses. We're in my basement. There's not a case of witnesses. So the question is, Im Zarcha Hashemesh Alav means, right? It's right. If the sun has already risen, what does that mean? If the sun has already risen,
It's during
the
daylight.
threat somehow is diminished. The threat somehow is diminished. So if witnesses now
Because you
appear,
can recognize him, no?
yeah. So let's get back to good. That was a good remark. Let's apply that to the first verse. What's the idea that a thief who has his mind only on money is a capital threat to me? Because he's coming at night and because he's going to steal, and because if I recognize him, I will call the police and say so and so came to steal from me. Therefore, he is prepared to kill. That's the kind of robbery that represents the threat. So that's the self-defense, because we know that this guy coming, and we're going to see Rashi uses some choices of words to depict that. And so that's why I don't have liability. But now, Im Zarcha Shemesh, what does that all mean? What does that all mean? The threat has gone away because of what? Okay, so let's start. Does anyone want to offer any pshat before we go to Rashi and everyone? So we'll go.
First of all,
Yes, someone?
yeah, I would say that my gut is that because the sun's out and you can see the guy, the threat is lowered. But I do want to say that I thought in general, thieves are considered, I mean, I don't know about them wanting to kill anybody, but they do this at night because not only are they expecting not to be seen, but they also don't have a strong belief in Hashem because um, they're thinking, oh, Hashem isn't going to see me, which we all know is not true.
That very good remark. The difference between a ganav and a gazlan, right? That we say
Right.
that the ganav is only afraid of humans and not afraid of Hashem, but the gazlan is probably afraid of both, or not afraid of both in this case. Not afraid of both. Good, thank you. So there's a mechilta here. We'll see if we'll get to it. Let's start with Rashi. So Rashi wants to know what's the lashon of machteret. What's the word of machteret? It means when he is breaking into the house in the very act of forcing entry, but at no other moment. So Rashi's focusing in on the word, on the threat, on when you discover him. Let's keep going. En lo damim, there's no liability. This is not regarded as a murder, meaning the balabait is not murder. It is as though he, the thief, has been dead from the beginning of his criminal act. En lo damim is taken to mean he, the thief, had no blood, no vitality. So that's different than the way I read the pshat. I read lo damim is liability to the balabait. Here the Torah teaches you the rule. Here it comes. So Rashi is quoting the Gemara now. If one comes with the intention of killing you, arise and kill him. And this now he tries to expand on this. And this burglar actually came with the intention of killing you, for he knew full well that no one can hold himself in check, looking on whilst people are stealing his property before his eye and doing nothing. So a little different. He, the thief, therefore, he raised the bar of, I'm willing to put myself in that situation, therefore obviously came with the purpose in view. And in that case, the owner of the property would resist him, he would kill him. So that we will look at the Gemara itself too, and look at the language Rashi just quoted that Gemara. Let's see Ibn Ezra now, before we go to the Ramban.
So
At
sorry,
night-
just
Yeah, go ahead,
uh,
please.
one is the idea that the Talmud even tells us there's special circumstances that don't override this. For example, if it's your father who's breaking in, you know that he's not going to kill you. And second, about 3 or 4 years ago, there was a guy close to Arad, or maybe he wasn't in Arad, I'm not sure, who went out in the middle of the night with his gun, was legal, but basically, and yes, he did injure one of the thieves, but the question that I always had about that case was, you left your wife, who's like in her early 70s, vulnerable in the house, and so yes, it might be your right according to halakha, but bottom line is you're risking somebody else's life by doing that instead of just. So that's why I was always wondering about that.
Good. So that's excellent. So thank you for the comments. So we are going to try to understand this week and next week in these two sessions where there are nuances, and this haba lahorgecha hashkem lahargo does not necessarily allow you to kill someone. It might allow you to do something else, an alternative dealing with the case, and that's perfect. And the example of when the father comes to steal from the son knows that the father won't kill him is a great example. And so that would not allow the son to kill him in self-defense, even though he's coming stealthily, etc., etc. That's a great example. So here the concept, good. So continuing on in the Ibn Ezra, if a thief be found breaking in at night, as the thief would not break in during the day, if the sun shone upon him, in the verse which follows proves this. So once it's at night, there's a heightened threat. There shall be no blood guiltiness for him. That is, the one who kills the thief is not guilty of bloodshed. That's the pshat, the way I read it to you. One has to be amazed at those who interpret damim as life, vitality. If this is so, what is the meaning of because thou art a man of blood, damim, and his blood, damav, shall be upon him. So typically it's the dam of someone who is killed. Okay, good. Now let's see what the Ramban mostly is on this pasuk here. So let's go back to Rashi on this one. How do we understand the pshat? If Zarcha Hashemesh alav, and who's alav? Is it on the ganav? Is it on the balabait, or on both of them? And now are there witnesses now? Because it's all out in the open. So everything diminished here. There's certainly it would be completely impossible to just kill, to stand your ground and shoot the thief. If the sun shone upon him, Zarcha Shemesh Lav, this is only a metaphorical expression signifying if the fact is clear to you that he is peaceably disposed towards you. The simile is, just as the sun brings peace, happiness to the world, so it is evident to you that he did not come with the intention of killing, even if the owner of the property would resist him. So this is saying it's not haba lahargecha, im zarcha hashemesh alav. That's taken it out of the category of haba lahargecha, that the thief was prepared to kill you because you're a witness. We'll see that inside too. The Ramban, from reading a pshat, the Ramban doesn't like this, and we'll see it in a second. As for instance, here's the remark that Rabbi Goldman helped us with. For instance, when a father breaks in to steal the money of his son, for it is certain that the father cherishes feeling of pity for his child, and the matter of taking human life is not in his thoughts at all, then damim lo, then he is to be regarded as a living man. Rashi's explanation of ein lo damim, and it is murder if the householder kills him. And now we're back to the penalties on the thief, just for clarification, not so much our focus. Shalem yeshalem means the thief shall only restore the money he has stolen, but is not subject to the death penalty. Unklus, who renders im zarcha shemesh alav by, if the eye of the witnesses fall upon him. So this is that unique pshat that we raised as a possibility, but we didn't know. Chose a different way of explaining the verse, namely that if witnesses surprise him before the householder appears, and then when the householder is going towards him, they warn him not to kill them, a much more involved situation, then damim lo, he's certainly punishable. So now we've taken it case one. We were pretty convinced that the first verse, there are no witnesses. But now Unklos said the second verse, I'm taking to the normal case. The normal case is if I'm supposed to be liable for murder, I have to be warned by witnesses. And he's saying that's what Zarcha Shemesh Alav. The witnesses should prevent the Balabait from killing the thief. And if he does kill him, there are witnesses and he's definitely liable. Okay, good. Any comments, any remarks, any questions?
Yes.
So,
I'm
please,
just
please.
wondering about this word tunneling, because we're equating it with night. So, I mean, we have instances of tunnels today that are, there's bad stuff that can happen in tunnels, and it's underground, and there is no sunlight on them. So it's not really just nighttime. Am I right?
Perfect. Let's just jump ahead now because I see already I'm behind schedule and timer. Let's jump for a second to the Rambam Pesha. Okay, look what the Rambam says. Moving you over here. Haba BaMachteret ben bayom ben balayla. So day or night. And I'll take you back to, he learns this from a midrash. He accepts your point entirely. The Machteret is the symboling of he's coming in a way that allows us to perceive him as a thief that's going to be a mortal threat to me, either day or night. So when a person breaks into a home, whether at night or during the day, license is granted to kill him. If either the homeowner or another person kills him, they are not liable. So the Rambam already expanded and clarified to us. And the license to kill him applies both on the Sabbath and during the week. One may kill in any possible manner. This is all implied by our verse that we read, which literally reads, he has no blood. So everyone asks, so how did the Rambam actually get this? So it turns out that the Rambam really quoted this Mechilta that you mentioned here. Basically, this Mechilta repeats your point, Pesha, and what the Rambam said, and this Mechilta, this midrash, expanded it to any day of the week, any type of killing. It doesn't have to be a balabait; it can be anyone. Some perception of the threat, some perception of threat. So now let's go for a second to the Ramban that so that deals with the point that Pesha brought up. Let's look at the Ramban who's not comfortable with Rashi and see what pshat we're looking for. This is nothing but a metaphor. He's quoting Rashi now. For did the sun rise upon him alone? Does it not rise upon the whole world? It means. And that was what Rashi said. But then he added, Unclus, Rashi again did this, who rendered the face if the sun has risen upon him, as if the eye of the witnesses fell upon him, chose a different way of interpreting the verse, which is as follows. If the witnesses found the thief before the householder comes, this is what we read in Rashi, and when the householder came to resist the thief, they warned him not to kill the thief. Then the balabait or whoever is there, right, is liable if he killed the thief, for since there were witnesses watching him, the thief had no thought of taking human life, he would not have killed the householder. This is Rashi's language. But now the Ramban is wondering about this imbalance now. One case has no witnesses, one case has a million witnesses, so to speak. So how do they complement each other? How do they help us find the boundary conditions? How do I understand my own personal nuance? If I'm confronted with this, what would be din? What would be lifnei mishurat hadin? What would be the preferred behavior that I'm supposed to do, so to speak? Right? Self-defense is an act of, I'm liable. I'm not doing something great. I'm not liable if it's in the course of a certain way. If it's in a different way, I might be liable. So the Ramban continues, but I wonder, when he said above in verse 1, there shall be no guilt of blood incurred for him, the balabait, or anybody, thereby acquitting the householder for the murder of the thief, it must be surely be speaking of a case where the witnesses warned him not to kill him. So he's saying that he's almost like rhetorically, because no murder is ever liable to death without prior warning. So what's the chiddush of the Torah here, right? So now we're scratching our head. We're scratching our head because we're probably saying, no, there really aren't witnesses there. Right? So continuing on. And if you say then that in stating there shall be no guilt of blood incurred for him, heaven permitted the thief's blood to be shed, that is to say it is permissible to kill him, that is not true. Rather, the first verse acquits the householder under all circumstances from the hand of heaven. So there is no court. There is no human liability because nobody even knows, right? Right? We're going to show up the next day and he's going to say, he came upon me and I killed him. Came upon me and I killed him. So nobody is going to press charges against him. So we're confronted here with, we have to think about these two psukim, these two verses in their relationship to each other. Rather, the first verse acquits the householder under all circumstances from the hand of heaven, where he had no prior warning, and from the court if he had prior warning. And the second verse, dealing as it does with another set of circumstances, holds him guilty by the law of both. Perhaps that's the Ramban's working it out. Perhaps the Rashi's intention in interpreting Unclos' translation was to say that if the witnesses found the thief before the householder came and recognized him, and the thief knew of their presence, then the thief is no longer, he probably wouldn't even steal at this point, because he'd be caught, and the thief no longer could have intended to take human life, since he saw that the witnesses recognized him and knew that if he would kill, the witnesses would come to court and have him put to death. And this is the reason for the expression, if the sun had risen upon him. For at night, seeing that the witnesses did not recognize him, he would kill the householder and escape. So the only difference, Pesha, between night and day isn't so much the intention of the thief. It's the ability to discern him, the ability to know exactly what's going on more and more and more. So the allowance to kill in self-defense is in a situation. Oh, somebody has a hand up? Go ahead. Ira,
Yeah,
is
it's
that you or
Ira.
Pesha?
No.
Oh, you changed your mind?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take the hand
Okay,
down.
yeah. It's okay. So it's good now that we just, even though we're recording, feel free to interrupt and ask. Yeah. Right. In my opinion, Unclos intended to say that if the thief had left the breakthrough and the householder comes to court to say that he has witnesses that he was found breaking through, damim lo literally has blood, as other living people do, and is not permissible to kill him. And if the householder did kill him, he is to be put to death. But the thief is to pay if he took anything from there. That's the second verse. Scripture uses the expression, if the sun be risen upon him, because it speaks of the usual manner. For those who break into homes generally do so at night when no one recognizes them. And the one who kills them there is free and may do so with impunity. It's interesting that they use that word. But if the thief stayed there until the sun had risen upon him and then left in a stealthy manner and ran for his life, then if the householder comes to bring a charge against him with the help of witnesses, he, the thief, is not liable to death. So he changed it completely. So the thief, is not a rodef. He, the thief, is not a pre-decided murderer, even though he came with the intent at night, neither by the hands of the court nor by the householders. If this is so, it's a little confusing, guys. Then, according to the opinion of the sages who says that a thief who broke into a house and took some of its vessels and went out is free from paying for them because he acquired them with blood, we must say that the second half of the verse, which states he shall make restitution, if he had nothing, then he should be sold, refers back to the previous verse in the previous chapter, if a man steal an ox. A similar case is the verse, and also on thy bondsmen thou shalt do likewise. So at this point, we're left with several presentations of the pshat, not drasher, but as you read it, what is alav, what is damim, what is liability, where are the witnesses, where are there no witnesses? So now he comes with his pshat. The plain meaning of the verse is known to be as follows. If a thief dug through into a home at dark and was found there at night, he may be killed. But if the sun shone upon the thief and someone saw him and recognized him, he may not be killed, but he must pay for what he stole or for what he broke or whatever and took from there at daytime. The meaning of the term Hashemesh, because we're trying to finish up, why did the Torah use the words Zarcha Hashemesh, right? The sun is in sight of those who saw him. So that's the difference between Yom and Laila here, is our ability to discern who's moving around. Similarly, in the sight of the sun means openly. The reason for this law is, as we have mentioned, that one who comes at night will kill the householder, and therefore the householder may kill him, whilst one who comes at daytime will flee from him once he is recognized. So that's the way the Ramban sort of summarizes everything we've read. So I see we're running a little bit out of time, but I want to do the Gemara itself on this. So, oh, sorry, that's from last week. Here we go. Here's a Mishnah. Start with a Mishnah from our verse. BaMachteret nidon al shem sofos. So they already help us. The Mishnah already helps us. They adds the term, a burglar who is found breaking into a house may be killed by the owner of a house with impunity, and because of our verse. He too is sentenced on account of his ultimate end. So that's a term that nobody had used yet, that none of the Parshanim. This was when a person comes with a certain intent, that ultimate end is part of the equation. You were prepared to kill, and so therefore, so let me read it inside here instead of me going off here like I was doing. As it is presumed that if the owner of the house would resist the burglar would kill the owner of the house. If the burglar was breaking into a house and in the course of doing so, he broke a barrel, here's other things, right? There is blood guiltiness for killing him. Meaning if the owner would be liable for killing him, the burglar is liable to pay for the value of the barrel. So here okay, let me keep going. An example of this So all of our terms are getting mentioned here. Is if a father broke into his son's house, in which case it is presumed that even if the son resists his father, the father would never kill him, kind of both a real example and an example maybe for other cases, similar cases, and therefore the son may not kill his father. And if he does do so, he's liable for murder. If there is no blood guiltiness for killing him, i.e., if the homeowner would be exempt from punishment for killing him, the burglar is exempt from paying for the barrel. So do you see how at least, we had some quandaries of what's without witnesses. Notice that the Mishnah sidestepped all of that, and they said that if there's no liability, if you're not allowed to kill him, then he has to pay for the damage or the goods he stole or damaged or whatever he does. There's that balance. And the other balance is if you're allowed to kill him, then he doesn't have to pay for the damage, so to speak, because he's Ad Shem Sofo. So now, very briefly, let's do a little of the Gemara, because we asked about the word Machteret. Why did we use the word Machteret, right? So Rava says, and then we'll stop the recording and have the discussion. Rava says, what is the reason for this halacha concerning a burglar who breaks into a house? He explains that there is a presumption that a person does not restrain himself when faced with losing his money. That's the homeowner. And therefore, this burglar must have said to himself, I am prepared to overcome this guy. If I go and the owner sees me, he will rise against me and not allow me to steal from him. And if he arises against me, I will kill him. They're saying that the burglar has already made the decision. And the Torah states a principle: if someone comes to kill you, arise and kill him. So that here's the term that's become the very often quoted in modern day Hebrew, Im ba lehorgecha, hashkem lehorgo. So with that, I will stop the share and stop the recording, and we will have our discussion.